I'm here with Julian Erosa, who's coming off a big win over Hakeem Dawodu at UFC 279. Julian, how are you?
Oh man, I'm doing fantastic, brother. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Happy talking with you again, especially after your big win. It's been 5 days. How you feeling?
Man, I feel fantastic. It's kind of funny because sometimes things like feel like forever. Like it feels like that fight was like a while ago. Like a lot longer than 5 days ago. Almost feels like it was a month ago. Um, but I think it's also just kind of the ease of after being a fight, win, lose or draw. After a fight, the stress kind of like dissipates and you kind of just decompress. Because leading up to a fight, you have a little bit of stress, with the weight, just anxiety from the fight, thinking about every possible outcome of the fight. And so after the fight is done, you can really decompress, and I think that's what kind of slows the time up a bit.
How's the body feeling?
But, after the fight, I was like, oh, that was a pretty easy fight physically, and I was like, I think I'll be all right. And usually I go train like right away, but the next day and the day after that, man, I was a lot more sore than I thought I would be. And obviously the adrenaline's going, and then we're kicking, we're punching with no shin pads. The gloves are a bit smaller, so I think I just once the adrenaline went away, it started to feel the soreness, and I took a couple of days off, but I'm back in the gym, and I'm going for it. So keep the ball rolling. I hate when I get out of shape because well, I usually stay in shape because I train all year round, but if you get out of shape, then you got to get back into shape. So I was already in the best shape of my life, so I might as well just at least stay continuous and keep the shape good.
For sure. Before we get to your fight, did you know that Juicy J was performing in Las Vegas the same night?
No, I had no idea. Honestly, I'm not a huge, like I said before, I had my nickname before I even knew Juicy J was a rapper from 3 6 Mafia. So I've never been a huge fan of Juicy J as a rapper until afterwards. And then I like his music, and I'm not like opposed to it by any means, but Juicy J was my nickname before I even knew. So I haven't necessarily followed him a bunch. But that's cool, man. We both performed that night.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, you both put on great performances. I wanted to ask, how big of a win was this for you? Hakeem all week was very dismissive of you, and he was just like he was acting like he was just gonna walk through you, and he like had almost no respect for you. So just how big of a win was this for you?
Yeah, that's like I think that's what really got to him. When you really think about it, like every single day leading up to this fight, the only person I'm thinking about is Hakeem, and like I'm gonna do everything I can to beat this guy. And if he was dismissive of me, then what happens is he gets in there with me, and if things don't go his way, which they weren't in the first round, I think it just kind of frustrated him, and kind of he kind of left him like standing there with nothing to do. He thought he was gonna outstrike me, and then I start outstriking him, and once that game plan goes out the window, like what else is next for you? Like I knew he wasn't gonna try to wrestle me, he wasn't gonna try to grapple me, so he was just going to try to have to win a losing battle, which was the stand up. And I think in his mind, he had been so dismissive about my striking that he was just going to pick me apart and figure me out really quick. But like I've told everybody, even in the lead up, it's like, I'm unorthodox, I'm unusual, my range is weird, and you don't know until you know. Like you can say anything you want about anybody, you can watch all their fights, you can do all the homework you want, but you really have no idea until you're in the cage with them. And so I never try to put anything past anybody. I thought maybe even he might come in and try to wrestle me. So like he might have been saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna I'll strike this guy, and then he could have shot a double leg right out the gate. You just never know. So you don't know until you know, until you're in there with that person. And so I think that was his biggest mistake on his part, was to already assume certain things before he was in the cage with me, because once you're in the cage, man, there's no more preparation. You're there live and you got to figure it out. And so, he was already dismissive of my striking. And I think that was a big detriment to himself.
Absolutely. How do you feel about the performance as a whole?
Oh, I like to be a bit more brawly, but I'm so satisfied with the way it played out, and the way I was able to be a bit more measured and use my fight IQ, and not necessarily go for the fight of the night. I after the fight, I'm like, yeah, it was a pretty good fight, but it wasn't like a fight of the night kind of fight. And so it was disappointing in that sense because I always go out there and just all I want to do is entertain people and bring those types of fights, have those Peterson fights. But at the same time, I need to be a bit smart about it, and I walked away with relatively no damage. I was a bit sore afterwards, but no major shots that I took. I took harder shots sparring leading into this fight than I did with Hakeem. Um, and nothing's physically wrong, and I can jump back into training and get back on the bike. So I'm happy in that sense because with Peterson, who knows, man? I might have lost a couple years off my life. Both of us probably did. And I loved it, man. Don't get me wrong. I want to take it away for the world, but it is nice to walk away from a fight and know that I played it to my biggest advantage, and I was able to really just be a bit more measured in it.
This is your second fight in a row where your opponent has missed weight. So you got some extra money on top of it. But how disappointing is that? Like, I've talked to many athletes, and the number one thing they say is make weight and show up to fight night, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna do my job, and if they're not gonna do their job, it's whatever. And with kind of the turning point with the whole missing weight stuff was for me was the Peterson fight. He missed weight, and I was upset. Like obviously, like I in the moment I'm pissed off because, and especially because like I just got done cutting weight, so I just got done killing myself to make weight, and the audacity that this motherfucker has to show up and not be on weight, it pisses you off. Immediate the immediate thought process is you're upset, and I was upset. But once hindsight is 2020, man. Once it was all said and done, I looked at my bank account and I was like, shit, man, just because he missed those 3 pounds, not only did I make the money from the bonuses and stuff, which was fantastic, but if that didn't happen, I was still made, I ended up making an extra $10,000 from Peterson because he missed weight. So I was like, man, why am I upset, man? I should be happy. I want people to miss weight because, especially if they've actually given it a shot. If they walked in there, they look like they didn't cut weight, I'd be a bit more pissed. And might not even take the fight, but the fact that both Peterson and Dawodu both looked like they had tried making weight and they just couldn't do it was cool. I mean, they tried, they still had to kill themselves a bit to make the weight or to try to make the weight, and they just didn't work out for them. So I'll be more than willing to get the money, and I don't think it's much of an advantage. Someone was telling me a statistic though that when you miss weight, your actually odds of winning are better, which is like the weirdest thing, like to me, because if you missed weight, that means you've already broken mentally. So, but I guess the stats read for themselves. Like obviously, people are winning more fights after they're missing weight than losing them. I don't know, and who knows what that situation is. But for me, I'm more confident when they miss weight. I think that they've already broke, and if you can't beat the scale, how are you going to beat me in the cage, man? I've done everything. I haven't cut any corners, and mentally, I have not broken, and I won't break. Um, but these guys that show up and miss weight, they cut the corners, man. Dawodu is 5'8". I'm 6'1". He's a bit more muscular than me, but you can get rid of muscle. You can't get rid of bones. You can't get rid of skin. The things that you can't get rid of is what I have. I'm tall. My frame is huge, so I can only make 46. I can't make anything less than that. Like if I mean, I made 44 one time. I was 2 pounds lighter when I fought Peterson. I ended up hydrating before the weigh-ins, but I got as low as 144, and I physically felt if I had to lose one more pound, I'd probably be taken to the hospital. Like that's how it is for me. I can't lose organs. I can't lose these. I can't lose blood. I can't lose these things. But a guy like Hakeem can lose. You can lose muscle mass. Go run more. Go get more cardio and lean yourself out. But the fact that he doesn't and he didn't shows he was cutting corners. I was running my fucking ass off. I was training my ass off. I was dieting every day. I made sure I wasn't cheating too much. When I was cheating, it was like I was having an extra almond. Like that was my cheat. I was having an extra piece of lettuce. Like those are the cheats that I was doing. And even I was feeling guilty at those times. And it was nothing. I was really wasn't cheating. And so I know that if those guys are showing up that have more weight to lose than I have and they don't make weight, they've already lost mentally. And if you can't hop on the scale, you can't beat the scale, you can't beat Juicy J in there.
At what point do you not take a fight when a fighter misses weight?
Uh, for me personally, The only time I won't is if the commission won't let it happen, and that's like I think a certain amount of weight. But it's because like for me, it's like we put so much time, effort, and training, money, resources. You have other training partners that are putting their bodies on the line to help you get ready for these fights. There's just too much I put into this shit to fucking just say no. Like, and a few pounds is a few pounds, whatever. Like, and I tell people all the time too. Like, he missed weight at 10:30. At 10:30, I was 10 pounds heavier. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was 56, 57. Like, he was 49 and a half, 10:30, and I was already like 6 pounds heavier than he was at that point. So, um, I mean, it's a little bit of an advantage in the sense that he didn't have to kill himself as much as I had to kill myself. But I'm already ahead of the game on the hydration, and I know how to cut weight, and I know my body 100%. I do everything I need to do. So I bounce back pretty quickly after weigh-ins. I look pretty bad, and I get really fucking skinny. But I've got it down to where, and I cut weight. I cut weight that morning of. I cut all the hard weight the morning of now. So like I'm only dehydrated for like a few hours. Some of these guys, like I heard people that had seen Hakeem the night before at the PI cutting weight looked like dog shit. So I'm like, man, the night before you look like dog shit, that gives you, I mean, that makes you dehydrated for way more hours than I was. I was really only dehydrated for about 3 hours. And these guys, if you cut the night before, you're dehydrated for 12 plus hours. So for me, I think that's been a huge thing as well, is really dialing in when and how much weight to cut. And I think people just get so paranoid about the weight that they're like, oh, I got to start getting it off now. Thursday night they're cutting weight, and it's like, fuck, man, you're not going to sleep anyways that night, so fuck it. Like, don't cut the weight until later on. Like, it takes me a few hours to get the weight off, and I'll just get up at 4 in the morning and do it. Fuck it. Like, I'm probably not gonna sleep Thursday night anyways. Like, I hardly ever sleep Thursday nights, so I'm just gonna try to get as much sleep as I can, get some rest, get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, and cut the weight, hop on the scale, and start hydrating. So I think I was at a huge advantage in the sense of only being dehydrated for a couple hours or a few hours, and already was ahead of the ball of rehydration by the time he was missing weight. So I think it was a huge advantage on my part, actually.
How good did it feel to win in front of a sold out Vegas crowd? Because last time you were in front of one, you had lost and got knocked out. How good of a feeling was it to get that one back?
Oh, for sure, man. Like it was one of those things where I just wanted to take it all in. Like not even for like to win, lose, or draw, whatever that was gonna happen, but just be in the moment of the fight and really enjoy walking out in front of the crowd. Uh, and honestly, my biggest goal was to try to find where my wife and my family were sitting before I even started fighting. So I came out and I was the first one out. So I came out, enjoyed my walkout, and then I'm just like looking. I'm like, man, this is gonna be fucking impossible. But my my cousin-in-law, Molly, she has a voice that carries really well. So she was screaming, and I finally caught wind of it. But in a big arena like the T-Mobile Arena, things can kind of echo off. So like I thought they were somewhere else for a second, and then I, kind of figured it out and finally caught eyes with them and figured where they were. And so that was nice just to kind of see where they were, and then I just felt much more comfortable at that point. But yeah, just honestly, like with the whole crowd and everything, I thought I would be a bit more nervous and have more anxiety about it, but just another day, another day doing what I love to do. So it really wasn't that big of a difference from like the Apex and even the cage, man. Like I knew it was the bigger cage, but I got in there and it didn't seem much bigger. But when I last time I was in that cage, I was young, naive, and I had like tunnel vision, like to where like it looked like a football field. I remember the first time I fought in that cage in front of an arena, it felt like the thing was huge. It felt like I was on a soccer field or a football field. And then this time when I was in there, it seemed a lot smaller, and I think it was just more of the experience, more of the maturity, and yeah, the experience is what helped it the most. And it really felt like I could see everything, and I think that transitioned into the fight very well.
Awesome, awesome. You also signed a new deal after your win. How's that feel?
Oh man, that's the best, man. Like I said to some other interviewers too, it's like there was a time I was getting my walking papers. I wasn't getting a new contract with the UFC. So, and that's happened to me a couple of times. So, it's such a blessing to be able to sign a new contract. When I fought Jourdain, that was a new contract as well. So, fought Sean Woodson, Nate Landwehr, and then I got knocked out by Choi. And then taking that Jourdain fight, the big incentive, the reason why I took that fight short notice also was because they were giving me new contracts. So I wanted to secure that, and that's why I took that fight. And like money talks. Like even the whole like the Chimaevs and all those fights, like they got mixed around, but I know they got paid a bit more. So money talks. Holland had a way harder fight, but I guarantee you got paid a lot more money. And so for me, it's the same situation. Like that's why I took that Jourdain fight. I'm so happy I did because I obviously did really well in that fight. But now I'm 3 in a row on that contract. So I was 3-0 on a 4-fight on this last 4-fight contract. So I knew that it was just a matter of time they were gonna offer me another contract, and it was almost instantaneous. Like the next 2 days after my win, I think it was Monday. Jason called me and was like, "Hey man, I talked to Sean about a new contract. We got you lined up for this, this, and this. How does that sound?" I'm like, "Sign it up for me, brother. Let's do it." Because like I said, man, there was a time where they were kicking me out, and I was trying to figure out what else I was going to do with my life. So to have a new contract with UFC just makes me a bit more optimistic, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds for me.
Awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm very happy for you. And it's just so awesome just to see your story, man.
Yeah.
Like we talked about it before, like, you've been cut twice and now you're on this win streak. You were must watch television and now you got another contract. It's just these are the stories that people love to see.
Yeah, I think my story is like, a one for one, because like you hear about people get cut and they get re-signed, but you hear it so often that people get in the UFC, they finally make it to the big show, right? And they get cut and they're just like, well, maybe I should be a fucking mechanic, or maybe I should do, maybe this isn't for me, and I was at that time, there was a time where that's how I felt mentally, physically. I was, losing 3 fights in a row on my second stint, and they were against tough guys, honestly. I mean, Devontae Smith was upper weight class, short notice against a guy who has 8 knockouts, 8 first round knockouts. I went out there and got knocked out, whatever, and Grant Dawson, who's still undefeated in the UFC. I think he has a draw, but yeah, still undefeated in the UFC, and he moved up to weight classes and he's killing it. And then I lost to Julio Arce as well, and who was an animal as well, who's got like solid wins over good dudes. And so even though they were tough dudes, it was still devastating for me. And having getting cut for the second time after 3 losses, like I was 1-4. I never thought I was gonna fight in the UFC again, and for me to get back in there just is crazy. And the run that I've had since then, and even and I'm not even disappointed even with the Choi fight. Like that's just part of the journey, right? Like I got back on the horse before and I'll do it again. And with the Choi fight, it was, some errors I had made in that fight. I think I could have taken him down and out grappled him like easily. But made some bad adjustments in that fight, and it was over before it started. But it's all part of the process. You get the ups and you get the downs. And if it wasn't for that fight, maybe I wouldn't have got the short notice Jourdain fight, and this wouldn't have happened. So everything kind of happens for a reason, in that sense, I guess. But I'm so happy with the way I've been able to perform, in this last stint, and that's really what it boils down to. I just really wanted to showcase what I could do on the big stage. And when I was 1-4 in the UFC, I felt like I was robbed of that. Like I just was never going to be able to do it again, or have at least an opportunity to showcase. And man, fight after fight, it just seems to be like you said, must watch TV. Like I'm just so happy that I've been able to showcase for all my friends back at home, all my friends and family back at home, why I moved out to Vegas. Like I moved out to Vegas, and then I got, I was cut again from the UFC, and I was like, shit, man, like, why the fuck did I move out here? Why did I sacrifice all this shit? So for me to at least turn it around and have it be where I'm at right now, it's amazing in that sense, and just satisfactory for me as a fighter. Just I have nothing else to prove, like, and not saying like I'm thinking about not fighting anymore, but like I don't have anything else to prove. Like I had something to prove for such a long time, and then now that I've done this, I have these fights. No matter what happens from here on out, they can't take these fights from me. Like the Peterson fight is like an iconic fight that people will probably talk about for the rest of the UFC. And even just my story in general is going to be something that people talk about for a long time. So that takes a huge weight off my shoulders. Like not having to prove anything anymore. Like people, I've been able to showcase what I can do in and out of the gym, and be able to transition it into the UFC, and that's been the biggest thing for me.
Absolutely. And you make a great point that like people are going to point to your story about like when a fighter gets cut, right? And they're like, fuck, what am I going to do? They're going to point
Yeah,
to you like, he did it. Julian
yeah,
Erosa did it. You can fight your way back and have success. So, like I said, it's just so awesome. And then, but your story's not even done because
no.
realistically, you could be ranked right now, and your next fight could be a ranked opponent. So let's talk about it. What do you want next? Do you want to get one more in this year? Do you want to kind of just take it day by day, kind of get one early? Like, what's your thought process like?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, like I'm 33 years old right now, so it's not the end of my rope. But at the same time, I'm not like 26, so I can't be taking a lot of time off, and I felt like it was more time than I would like to have taken between the Peterson fight and this fight. But things popped up. The UFC was booking out and all that kind of stuff. But I would definitely like to get a fight by the end of the year, or within the next 4 or 5 months. And I'm not a huge stickler on like calendar year stuff. Like if I don't get one specifically in 2022, it's okay. It could be January of next year. It's not a big deal. But I definitely want to get back in there. Like I said, no injuries, man. Fucking good to go. Back to training already. Not 100%, but back in training, and I want to keep everything, keep the ball rolling. I'm not necessarily a stickler either on who I'm fighting. I don't care about rankings. I want to just fight guys that are gonna be willing dance partners to have exciting fights and have fun fights. I think I've been wanting to fight Alex Caceres for a long time, only because of the style matchup. It sounds like fun. But I've been talking about that fight for a long time, and it just never seems to happen. So it's not even a big deal. I don't put my eggs in that basket. So, but that Sean Woodson fought Luis Saldana, and that was a draw. And I think Saldana definitely he lost that fight because he won the fight, but he lost it by doing that illegal knee. But I think hands down, regardless of it being a draw, I think he won that fight. And so I think that was a big win for him. And I think me and him would be a fun one because he likes to stand and bang. And no disrespect to Sean Woodson because I'm nothing but I got nothing but the best for him. I want nothing but the best for him as well. But I think Saldana won that fight. I think that'd be a fun matchup. Uh, but I don't know. I mean, Saldana's just kind of a newcomer, a little bit ish. So like, I don't know if Sean Shelby wants me to fight a guy that's ranked in the top 15. That's cool too. I mean, I'm down for whatever. Like I said, man, I just want to be. I've always just been one of those guys that just enjoys fighting and wants to have a willing dance partner to have an exciting fight, to have the ability to maybe have a fight of the night kind of situation.
Yeah, I mean, and with the UFC, basically all the rest of their fight nights are in Vegas the rest of the year, basically,
Yeah.
except for three. And then they have that end of the year card in Vegas. I mean, Julian Erosa versus Alex Caceres on that T-Mobile card.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I think that's one thing I like too. I feel like the UFC really appreciates me, and it kind of goes to show by having them have me and Hakeem be the feature prelim. They're always trying to put a good fight up there, and I had no idea. Like, I really don't know even what corner I'm in. I have no idea like where I'm at in the card usually until like the Tuesday before the fight, and I seen that and I was like, holy shit, they have us on the feature prelim. That's so amazing. Like, it was also nice too because it's like you want to be on a pay-per-view, but at the same time, like being on the free fight on the prelims makes it free. So I feel like you're gonna get a little bit more eyes on you. And but also, just being the feature prelim is just always I feel like they always want to have a good fight there. And I think we owned up to that, and so I'm happy moving forward with the UFC, and hopefully maybe I'll get another spot like that.
Awesome. I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I think with your fighting style, you're going to be on the pay per view next. I know, Rob. I'm manifesting it.
Yes,
Awesome, Julian. Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Love chatting with you. You want to plug your social media, plug any sponsors you got? You want to thank anybody? The floor is yours.
Yeah, obviously, I want to thank everybody. My management's the number one, man. Without them, I don't know if I'd be here. But Iridium Sports Agency, Jason House, and all the guys over there. I mean, it's not just Jason. He has so many guys that are helping out, that do so much for us. I mean, it's insane. Like these guys, help us with our sponsorships, make sure the week of the fight is good, make sure our weight cuts are as good as possible. Willing to help us at every corner. So always got to thank those guys. And obviously, like if you want to reach out to me, my best or the easiest way to reach out to me is my Instagram, Julian_Erosa. And I want to thank all my friends, all my family, and all the fans. Like regardless if it's fans of the guys I fought or my fans or just fans in general, because without them we wouldn't be here as well. So and also you, like you and all the interviewers, everybody that's putting the word out on a daily basis. Thank you so much.
Make sure to subscribe to the LowKick MMA YouTube channel for all the latest news, event previews, and interviews with some of the biggest stars in MMA.